Alright guys, this is my first time doing a recorded narration. Sorry if the quality isn't too great, but this is how I did the body modification for the TIPX pistol. Especially if you're looking for mag-fed gameplay, this is definitely a good way to save money, to upgrade or modify the TIPX without going out and buying the specific body parts for it, which cost almost more than the gun itself. The project costs a little less than $300 if you buy everything brand new and use resources you already have available. So enjoy! Alright, so all you guys out there looking for a new way to play mag-fed, one of the guns you can look at is the TIPX. And when I was looking into it, I was looking for some used guns with modifications, but by the time I inspected everything that person was selling and what it was, half the people out there are literally asking maybe 10% less than what it costs to literally buy everything brand new, making it almost not worth buying the TIPX used. And the other thing you got to look out for is that you actually purchase a TIPX, not the TPX, which is the older version, which people are still asking top dollar resale price for. Now, one of the problems is if you want to do any kind of body modifications is the cost. Most of the body mods are almost more money than what the gun itself costs, making it very inefficient, especially with the line of other mag-fed guns that you can get for a much lower price. But if you still want the TIPX, you still want the Tippmann pistol mag-fed, there are a couple other ways to do body modifications. For example, this one you see here is the umarex airsoft pistol body modification. You can get it for like $35–40 opposed to the version which is actually made for the TIPX, which is probably going to cost you about $300 to $400. Now I do have a couple extra parts on this gun, but to give you an idea on the price of the gun, the kit to do the modification, the barrel, and the airline adapter will cost you, to do this, all just under $300. And then the sights, the little pucks on the rail, and a few other little things are all additional things I added. I got off eBay super cheap. The grip is actually included in the umarex kit, so saves you money on buying that. But all you'll pretty much need is one, the TIPX. You're going to want the airline adapter because depending on how you do it, you may or may not be able to replace the CO2 cartridge because of the way the front of the barrel fastens to the body. It blocks that. You can cut it to make it accessible, but it kind of weakens that plastic there. I haven't bothered doing it yet because I do plan on using an airline adapter. But you will need a longer barrel. I actually used the barrel from my X7 Phenom, but otherwise a barrel is going to cost you about $30. The airline adapter is $20, and the entire TIPX gun is, I believe I got it for $220. And then the umarex kit is about $35, which, depending on which one you buy, it'll actually come with the airsoft pistol, which you can just sell for like 15 bucks or something to help offset your costs. The sights, the sling, the little pucks, that additional thing on the barrel you see, were all additional things I added. You don't really need them. It's just for looks, but they were all really cheap. I got them off like eBay. And the grip, if you see there on the gun, actually comes with the umarex kit. Now, one of the biggest tools you're going to need for this job is a Dremel. You're going to need a cutting bit and probably multiple sanding bits. Without a Dremel, doing this modification is going to be extremely difficult. So it's one of those projects where, if you got the tools and the skills to, do little modifications like this, then it's worth it. If you've never done stuff like this before, or you don't have the right tools, it's probably not worth the time or money to purchase those tools. But for the most part, you're going to need a cutting bit along with some sanding bits. And the best advice I can give you is to pretty much just take your time, because if you try to be quick, you're going to melt the plastic, or you're just going to roast whatever bits you're using. So the first thing you're going to have to do, though, is where I have circled in pink, is you're going to want to remove the barrel piece. It's attached to the body of the gun, and you can't just take it off, so you pretty much just chop it off. And then what's left is you're going to see like a ring of the thickness of the piece you chopped off, and the outer ring is like just about the right size for a barrel. So you're going to want to cut that off and then just keep sanding in a circle very slowly and carefully, because you want it as even as possible. That way the barrel can fit nice and snug through it. The tighter the barrel fits, the less it's going to wobble on the gun. So it's going to hold much tighter. And what else? Also, you're going to have to adjust it slightly. If you don't put it on a perfect angle when you put the gun and the barrel together and put the body piece there, it's not going to be pointing straight. So you got to mess with it a little bit. But I mean, it's not going to be perfect. I mean, you're just shooting a paintball gun. It's not like you're going to be looking through the sights anyway. So those are some things to keep in mind. Now, the spot that I have circled in yellow actually detaches from the gun by just unscrewing the little side rails and those two screws I have circled. It almost doesn't look like it, because I cut through it myself, and then like by the time I was done, I was like, oh, it should have just popped off. So a little warning there to save you a bunch of time and trouble. Then continuing to the back of the gun, you'll see the spot I have circled in red is going to be an area you're going to have to cut off slightly to adjust for the airline adapter. And then also on the other side of the gun, you're going to have to make a very similar cut. Now, not only are you going to have to cut the circle or that cutout on the other side of the gun and this one, you're going to also want to shave and sand the inside of the gun so that it fits better. And if you shave it according to the design of the TIPX, you're almost going to be able to clip the body into place. And it'll hold it on there pretty tightly, even without any kind of rear fastening to the gun, which you're going to end up doing later. That way it'll ensure that the body can never pop off the gun while you're playing. And then if you can see the little green circle towards the top is right about where I did my pin, which ended up tying the gun and the body together so it couldn't pop apart. Let's see what else. Oh, and then let's see, the grip comes off, those side rail attachments come off with screws, and then the actual rear sight, the little thing with the two white dots, that actually pops off. If you look real close, you'll see the seams, and you just got to press, and that piece will slide right off for putting other kind of sight attachments on. And then also, where you see that I have circled red, I believe that's where those little push pins were. You can save those, and they can be reused later, so don't just toss them out. So here's the part where I cut the barrel off and then continuously sanded it in a circle to fit it to the size of the barrel. Like I said before, you want to take your time here, and if you don't have your Dremel on the high speed, because if you go too fast, you're actually going to melt it. What you want to do is you want to go slow with a lower velocity, and you just want to shave it, and just keep going in a circle and take your time. Also, you want to take breaks at this point, because it's going to be a lot of sanding. You don't want to do it all at once. You know, it's pretty much sand a little bit, see if it fits, sand a little bit, see if it fits. because you can always take more off. You can't put it back on if you cut too much off. And you want to take breaks to allow your bit to cool down, because if you don't, it's just going to deteriorate. Happened to me because I was lazy. The whole bit just like melted and fell apart. So yeah, you're going to want to let it cool down every now and then. So it's going to take a little bit of time. Just don't rush it. Now this is the back of the gun where you're going to have to make a cut to make enough space for the airline adapter. Now not only are you going to have to cut the side of the gun, but a little bit off the back, and you're going to want to slowly shave off a piece of the clip for the stock, if you can see that. Just take your time, because you don't want to cut too much of that off, or else it'll make it too weak. So you really want to just shave the smallest amount that is necessary for the airline adapter to fit. Now this is the other side of the gun. If you look at the TIPX, it's got that awkward rectangular shaped bump out. You're going to have to cut the piece out over here so that fits. Now on the inside, I'm going to show you in a minute, you're also going to have to do some shaving, and you're going to do it at an angle. So like the wider part towards the body and the skinnier part towards the outer piece of the gun. And if you do it close enough, when you press the body piece onto the gun itself, it's almost going to clip right on and fit into place. So other than this cut that you saw on this side and the other side, there's going to be a lot more shaving on the inside. You're just going to want to slowly keep sanding and fitting it and getting closer and closer until it fits on good but clips into place, so you're not like squeezing the gun or like scratching it every time you put it on. It's going to be like a smooth fit, and it's just going to, a little bit of pressure will pop it into place. So it's pretty much trial and error, just a little bit, test it, little bit, test it, and you'll get there in no time. Now here's the inside of the gun to show you where I was shaving it, so it fit tighter and tighter to the body. You're also going to see towards the back of the picture the two shave marks towards the top part of the inside of the marker. The first one towards the left is where I had to cut into it so that the pin and strap would fit. You're going to want to be real careful there, because you don't want to go past the deeper piece of plastic, because it's very thin between there and the outer part of the gun, so you don't want to cut through that entirely. And then slightly further back is where you're going to have to shave off some more space for the sight of the TIPX to fit, because it prevents it from sliding into place. So again, you're going to want to just kind of keep shaving at it and clipping the gun on to see if it gets closer and closer. But you don't want to shave through the body of the gun, because in that area it starts to get thin. Now those two spots, the bump outs towards the upper part of the gun, are what you're going to want to start shaving last. You want to get the sides of the gun first, because they're the more important to fit on, and then you go back and shave out the spots you're going to need for your sights. Now you're going to have to do that for the front and back, and the reason why you want to be careful and do them last is because however you do it is going to adjust the angle that the gun fits into this body piece. So if you want to try actually looking at the sights, you're going to want to balance it, because if you do one side too much and the other side not enough, the gun's going to sit into the body at an awkward angle, so it's not going to be very accurate. You might be looking at the sights or holding the gun straight, it's going to be pointed at a slightly different angle. So you're going to want to try to be as parallel and even as possible when you do the bump outs for both the front and rear sight. Now, like I said, here's the front of the gun, and right in front of the strap, you'll kind of see a little bit where I was shaving for the front piece of the sight. Now, you don't have to be, you want to be close, but I mean, like I said earlier, it's a paintball gun. You pretty much just hip fire or point and shoot and adjust later on. It's not exactly something you're going to be accurately looking through sights and shooting. Also, the other reason you're going to want to do the sight shavings last is because you're going to want to see how the gun fits into the body. It's hard to see in the pictures, but if you look, I want to say there's about an 1/8 of an inch gap from the actual body, the TIPX, to this front piece of the gun you're seeing in this picture where the barrel piece was shaved off. So there's definitely, it's not pushed all the way to the front or all the way to the back. It's almost in the middle. Um, you might be able to see it also towards the rear of the gun in some of the pictures. Yeah. So in my hands here is the pin and the strap I used to fasten the TIPX to the umarex body. I didn't want to do any kind of direct modifications to the TIPX. Some people use a bolt, just a longer center bolt, and then bolt the body straight to the gun. But I don't know how well that works, and I didn't really want to test it out. And I also couldn't find a bolt long enough. So I dug around my garage and I found this pin and the strap. I'll post the name of it or what the material is when I figure it out. But it's similar to a giant zip tie. It's very strong and durable, yet thin at the same time. So I was able to drill those holes in it, and even with that tiny bit of room, you could very easily pull and it's not going to snap or break. So it was just like the perfect material to use for this. So if you looked at the earlier pictures, you'll see where the hole was drilled. And it was done almost right in front of the sights, the rear sights of the TIPX. There was enough space there to safely drill and fit that strap without messing up how it sits into the umarex body. Now, in the rest of this, I'll show you the pictures of the hole the hole where it was drilled, as well as the gap in the rear of the gun. And then also the reason I said to save those pins in the beginning from the original umarex kit is because they'll fit, and you can use them instead of the pin I used, just so you have that discrete black pin in there. I just didn't find that to be very reliable. It was a little loose, and it's not a very good plastic, so I was afraid it would fall out, which is why I went with the other pin design. Also because it was sturdy and it was very easy to remove, to detach the gun on the fly if I didn't want the body kit on it.